To travel differently, Away offers a range of suitcases made of different materials like polycarbonate, aluminum, and durable nylon in a variety of colors and sizes. I never worry about space because every Away suitcase comes with an interior organization system that includes a built-in compression pad to help you pack more. All of Away's suitcases are designed to last a lifetime with durable exteriors that can withstand even the roughest of baggage handlers. And I never worry about security because the TSA-approved combination lock keeps all my belongings safe. CrimeCon 2020 is just around the corner in Orlando, so me and my Away will be hitting the road again soon. Away products are designed to last a lifetime, and there's a 100-day trial on everything Away makes. Take the product out on the road, live with it, travel with it, even get lost with it for 100 days. If you decide it's not for you, you can return any non-personalized item for a full refund during that period. No ifs, ands, or asterisks. Start your risk-free 100-day trial and shop the entire Away lineup of travel essentials, including their best-selling suitcases at awaytravel.com/warbaby. Away offers free shipping and returns on any order within the contiguous US, Europe, Canada, and Australia. Get yours today at awaytravel.com/warbaby because whoever you are and whatever you need to pack, Away has luggage that'll help you make your next trip more seamless. At the big search, Danny's friends were there, as was her ex-boyfriend Jamichael, as concerned as everyone else about his former love's whereabouts. He hugged, spoke to, and worried with Danny's family and closest friends. But her aunt and grandma felt he was too detached, seemed somewhere else. Danny's aunt even snapped a photo of the teen, looking introspective, alone in the center of hundreds of people who had gathered to search for Danny. Just days later, on April 2, 2014, an off-duty detective with the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office was headed to a favorite fishing spot when he crossed over a bridge. As he cruised by, he noticed an object floating in the river down below.
Hey, dispatch, this is 113. I'm down here at the Hollow Bridge Road, just outside Alderville. Okay. On the Cumberland County side. Is there a deputy that's close by with a pair of binoculars so I can make sure there's not a body in the water?
They'd located Danielle Locklear. There she was, floating silently along the South River. Weathered yellow nylon rope secured old-school gray cinder blocks to Danny's ankles and waist. It was clear to investigators that she'd been submerged for an extended period of time, with decomposition causing her to eventually rise to the surface. It was a terrible scene. There was no chance of a viewing or open casket. Autopsy results would the next day reveal the cause of death to be asphyxiation. The matching gray striped sock to the one found back at Rockfish Creek was here at the river, stuffed deep into Danny's mouth. A brutal and violent end to an innocent, promising life. It was apparent where the crime scene began, but investigators had to dig a bit deeper to understand how Danny ended up there. And Rockfish Creek and the South River did not meet each other at any point. Looking at the area from a distance, they realized that Jamichael Malloy lived 3 miles away, in a very rural town so small it had no stoplight. Putting the teen's relationship under a microscope, police received access to his text messages and realized that the situation was more twisted than it appeared. Their conversations were heated, and he said hateful, rude things to this girl he had supposedly loved. Jamichael blocked her, but Danny used other phones to keep messaging him. Their most recent and final breakup looked messy, and he texted her threats such as, quote, "Come to my house the way I'm feeling right now and I'll shoot you with no hesitation." He claimed it was sent in the heat of the moment. Investigators felt that they had enough to search Jamichael's home, and they descended. Police footage showed him petting his dog as he watched authorities swarm his family's property. He's brought to the police department and administered a polygraph exam, which he failed promptly. His parents were there with him and called for a lawyer, and his mother grew more and more concerned as the day wore on.
That body, if it is hers, really, how did it get down there? Somebody could have done it, but trying to frame you.
I love you too much.
When police informed him that his polygraph showed deception, he remained unbothered. Unbothered, that is, until investigators located yellow nylon rope and old-school gray cinder blocks on the Malloy property. Their distinct appearance and obvious age gave police comfort they were on the right track.
What if I tell you that we found the rope that she was tied up with?
And y'all found the rope?
At your house?
Shouldn't be in my house.
Why shouldn't it be?
Because I have nothing to do with it.
I want you to bear with me. Help me out here. The cinder block, the rope. She's found how far from your house? Not far at all.
Street down the corner.
Yeah. You didn't have anything to do with this, the failed polygraph, that you don't know anything. You want to stick with that.
Yes, sir.
And you think 12 people's going to believe what you're saying? You're going to look like a monster.
They were on the right track, but still lacked probable cause for an arrest. Detectives carried on with their investigation, trying to pick apart Jamichael's alibi. Cell phones show both he and Dominic were pinging at the Malloy residence that Tuesday night, less than 3 miles from the bridge where Danny's body had been found. When they try to speak to Dominic Locke again, he lawyers up. Looking deeper, police realize that those texts that Jamichael appeared to be sending from his house had been scheduled. Using an app he had downloaded, Jamichael prepared the texts in advance to be sent at a time he selected. This meant that he didn't need to be with his phone at his house to send those messages. He could have been at Rockfish Creek and later near Hollow Bridge Road, murdering and disposing of Danielle Locklear. 6 days after Danny was found, Jamichael voluntarily returned to the police station, this time giving a full confession. He explained to police that on Tuesday night, March 11th, he and Dominic snuck out of his house unnoticed and drove 15 miles away to Danny's grandparents' home in Hope Mills.
I had took my wallet and I threw it against her window. She came out and everything, and she got in the car, and we went to the creek. We sat down, we talked for a while. We had been off and on for months, and she was supposed to take a pregnancy test in front of me. And the whole time it's like, take it for me, take it, and she'll prove it to me right now. She said, fine, I will. I told her, no matter if you have this kid or not, I'm going to take care of my responsibilities. If it's mine, it's mine. I'm going to do what I got to do to step up and be a man. But I don't want to be with you at all. And she flipped. And that's when she snapped on me, and she punched me in my face. And she slapped me and jumped on top of me and got all over me and stuff. And she was cursing me out, still being mean to me. And I'm just trying to shove it off. She hit me, started fighting, grabbed her around the neck. All I remember was I grabbed her, I was choking her. Next day I knew she wasn't breathing.
When you grabbed her around the neck, what did you do when you grabbed her around the neck? Because listen, she don't just stop breathing.
I blacked out. That's all I remember.
What were you doing around the neck?
I was choking her.
After choking Danielle into obvious unconsciousness, Jamichael ran to Dominic, who stood merely 70 yards away, and told him he'd killed her, saying they would both spend the rest of their lives in prison if Dominic didn't help him. Danny was making some kind of noise, a fact acknowledged by both boys, leaving many to wonder if she was still alive at this point. Dominic Locke was so freaked out that he pulled her sock off and stuffed it into her mouth.
Why would he do that?
Because she was making a noise. Yeah. Put a sock in there so nobody would hear it.
As they dragged her to Dominic's car, her matching sock was pulled off and left by the creek. The coroner stressed that Danny was likely dead by the time she was tossed into the South River. Jamichael said they raced back to his house, grabbing that yellow rope and 4 25-pound cinder blocks and using them to weigh her down once they threw her from the bridge.
Tied her up, put her in the car, threw her over the side into the river. Take it to the grave, don't tell nobody.
It took an additional 4 days for Dominic Locke to fess up to his involvement in Danny's murder. Jamichael was charged with second-degree murder for what he called a crime of passion he committed in the heat of the moment.
Who is this? Because this is not my child. Again, never been in a fight, never been a bully, never out there robbing and stealing and gangstering.
The pain of the crime hits very close to home because the Malloy and Locklear families are related.
It is a great pain because I know every day that I wake up in the morning and I'm faced with what has happened that is truly a nightmare. I know the nightmare goes right up the street a mile away and then a few more miles to Hope Mills, to Danielle's grandmother and grandfather, because their hearts have been ripped out of their chest as well as mine without any anesthesia. And it's not going to get better until it gets to the end, until he goes to serve his time.
Dominic, who was already 18 when he helped his so-called best friend cover up a murder, was initially charged with conspiracy. They were held on $100,000 bond each, and Dominic promptly bailed out, while Jamichael was advised by counsel to remain behind bars. His attorney felt it was best to keep him away from the broken-hearted community, and that he could also use that time to, quote, purge. Defense attorney D.W. Bray represented Jamichael, calling Danielle's murder a case of kids with kids' brains in adult situations. About his client, he said, quote, I think it's important to note that Jamichael came forward to law enforcement. We're not talking about a cold-hearted monster. We're talking about a very decent young man. All we ask is for the public to remember is that you're talking about a 15-year-old victim and a 17-year-old defendant. And we know 15-year-old kids don't make wise decisions, and neither do 17-year-old boys. And that's what he is, a boy. I think there's a sense of relief internally for him that he's admitted his level of culpability in this situation and has been put in a position to at least start demonstrating some remorse and also moving forward. Also realizing that a substantial bit of his future may be impacted. When asked why Jamichael hadn't come forward sooner, if he was so broken up about killing Danielle, his attorney responded, quote, And well, that's a very reasonable question, but again, we're talking about a 17-year-old, and a 17-year-old with that stressful and heavysome of a burden, it's not unreasonable to be silent. He concluded by saying, quote, Lost in this? We don't want the facts to just be on the defendant or Danielle. I think after all the facts come out in this case, this may be a learning experience for many people in the community. Needless to say, Danny's family was not pleased at this outright victim blaming of their child. When she'd found out about Jamichael's involvement, Danielle's grandmother reeled, saying, quote, Deception. I was dumbfounded. He knew we were devastated. The whole time he was standing with us, knowing exactly where she was, that she was down in that river with those cinder blocks tied to her, and in the same breath standing with us and helping us look. How can you hold your composure in front of all those people? Her aunt said, quote, He was even asking us during the balloon release, Have you heard anything? Do you have any other news? I've never seen such a calm face in my life, unscathed by it. No nervousness, no anything. Dominic Locke pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact to first-degree murder in July 2015. His original charge of conspiracy had been upgraded, and he received 6 to 8 years in prison. At his sentencing, he meekly apologized, saying, quote, From the bottom of my heart, I'm truly sorry to everyone involved. Danny's mother was direct in her response, saying, quote, I pray for you. I pray for your family. But sitting there having to bury your child and I couldn't even have an open casket because of what you did to her? As the 2-year anniversary of Danny's murder approached, Jamichael was offered a plea deal guaranteeing he could go up for parole after 25 years, which he initially rejected. It seemed his case was going to trial for first-degree murder, and it was scheduled for November 2016. He would then face life in prison without the opportunity for parole. But the prosecution left the deal on the table, and he soon came to his senses. Sentenced May 6, 2000.